Welcome to the TIMFD podcast. Today is my favorite day is about appreciating every day as it comes, no matter what life throws at us. We hope that this podcast speaks to you, and if it does, please like, share, and comment. Now let's find out why today is our favorite day this week.
Well, welcome back to Today is My Favorite Day. I'm here again with Brian Harner, author of The Diet Rebel. This is the book. This is what it looks like. I would encourage you to go out and get it on Amazon and where else?
My website,
Okay.
Amazon, Barnes & Noble.
Okay, cool. So we want to talk some more about, this is not a diet book. This is not but this is a how-to and a plan to take the weight off, to get healthy, and to just live a healthier lifestyle, right?
Right.
So you talk about something in chapter 2. It's called diet tyranny, and I'm going to use a quote, and I don't particularly care to quote this gentleman, but the road to tyranny, we must never forget, begins with the destruction of the truth, and that is Bill Clinton who said that amazingly. But talk about what is diet tyranny.
Right. Diet tyranny is us really being stuck in this cycle of, we gain weight, then we decide we want to go on a diet to lose the weight. So we stick to the diet for a little while, and we torture ourselves, and we white knuckle it for a little while. We lose a few pounds, but because we're white knuckling it, because we're not really making true changes in our lives and lifestyle changes, and we haven't changed our mindset, we get tired of doing the diet, and then we get back we gain the weight back, sometimes a lot more than we lost,
right?
And then we go, okay, I gotta lose weight. So we pick a diet, go on the diet, and we just do this cycle over and over again. And it's like a hamster running on a wheel, and we're just stuck in this what I call diet tyranny, because we're trying to use these diets to lose weight, and we're kind of letting them control us.
Right. Well, and I want to touch on that briefly. You talk about the various diets. You have stuff like paleo and keto and Weight Watchers and a whole bunch of programs out there, Beachbodies, I think. And so maybe you could give us some of the pros and cons, and why it gets back into that tyranny, why people just usually don't continue on.
Right. Well, all these plans are great. They handle the mechanics of losing weight. The mechanics of losing weight is simple. Right. We talked about this the last episode, is that all it takes to lose weight is to consume less calories than we burn off. Right. And it's simple. It's just not easy.
Right.
Well, these diets attack that part.
Okay.
Like Weight Watchers gives you the number system. And if you stick to that number system, all it is a way to count calories for you. Mm-hmm. Right. And if you stick to it, you'll probably lose some pounds because of that. Same with Beachbody, same with most of them. Now, some of them get in. I talk about the grapefruit diet.
Yeah, I saw that. Yes.
Now, some of them are just trying to be magic pills. I mean, if you're not familiar with the grapefruit diet, there was a theory that drinking grapefruit will speed up your metabolism and burn off weight, and that's a myth.
I think the Florida Citrus Commission put that out to sell more grapefruit.
Maybe.
No, maybe not. I made that up, so just. I don't want to denigrate the Florida Citrus Commission, but anyway.
So there are good diet programs out there that are intended to help you lose weight by managing the calories for you, right? But very few of them deal with exercise, adding exercise to the program. Now, Beachbody does, but none of them that I'm aware of attack the mindset,
right?
Which is the secret to lasting weight loss.
Yeah. So I want to touch real quickly. In the book I read, you said, do you have to exercise? And you said, no. But still, how are you going to burn the calories?
Right.
And so you do really, at some point in time, have to take up some sort of exercise.
Well, Sam, I don't think you have to. Let me be clear. It makes it easier if you do, and less painful. If you exercise, and it will certainly speed up the process. But I'll give you an example of myself here. I was a runner. I still am a runner. I shouldn't do past tense, but when I when I started losing weight, that's when I got into running.
Okay.
And running actually allowed me to lose weight without dieting at all.
Okay.
Right? And here's what I mean. And in the book, I have the Diet Rebel formula, which is just a way to plug in the calories to figure out how many calories you should eat.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Based on your metabolism. So I plugged in my calories, and basically I could have, let's say, 2,500 calories that day.
Okay.
Right? Well, if I go out and run 3 miles, I'm going to be burning off 300 calories.
Okay.
Okay. That's kind of average numbers, but it held true to me. That's kind of trial and error. You have to figure that out for yourself because everybody's metabolism is slightly different. Well, if I wanted to lose weight, it takes 3,500 calories to lose a pound.
Okay.
So if you prorate that over a week, that's 500 calories a day.
Okay. Okay.
Right? So if I know that I can consume 2,500 calories without doing anything,
right?
Just if I stay in bed all day,
right.
I'm 250 pounds, it takes 10 calories per pound to maintain, right. to keep me alive, right? Even if I lay in bed all day, I can eat 2,500 calories, right? So if I want to lose a pound a week, I just cut that back to 2,000 calories.
Okay.
Well, now, if I throw in running and I run 3 miles and I burn off 300 calories during that running, right? That means now I'm burning off, with running and just living, 2,800 calories.
Okay.
So now I can eat 2,300 calories that day.
Okay.
And still lose that pound a week. So
okay, that makes a little more sense.
So you can basically, but where we have to make sure we get to is we have to make sure we understand what our maintenance calories are, right? Because usually we eat above that, and that's why we gain weight.
Right. And so, if I were to start into this myself, you had, I think in the book I saw you had a 10-week or so walking, running chart. Right. And so for the average person, how difficult would that be?
Not at all. For if you're healthy, obviously, if this check with your doctor, because not everybody can become a runner, but running is the best exercise for losing weight.
Why is that?
And Dr. Jason Karp, one of the guys who actually endorsed this book, he wrote a book about this. He's a kinesiologist. Did I say that right?
I think
kinesiologist.
So. Yeah. Don't ask me to say big words.
But he points out that running is one of the few exercises that uses every single muscle in your body.
So, do I have to go out and buy fancy, expensive running shoes?
No. Most people don't.
But you probably should have good shoes.
You should have shoes, but that's the only piece of equipment that you need.
Yeah.
Like swimming, you need a pool. Cycling, you need a bike.
Right.
And shoes and shorts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But running, you just need a pair of decent running shoes. But there's another thing other than using engages every muscle in our body while we're actually doing it. But also, it's what people call the afterburn.
Right.
Right? If I go out there and I run 3 miles, that's my maintenance running. I run basically 3 miles now every day. Well, a couple times a week, 5 times a week. But if my heart rate gets up to 130 beats per minute during the run, right? In about the first 90 seconds, if you have a healthy heart, in the first 90 seconds to 2 minutes, your heart rate should get down to about 80, 90 range. Some come down very quickly, right? Okay. But then it takes several hours. Now, because I've been a runner for a long time, my resting heart rate is about 45.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's called. I scare doctors all the time. I go to a new doctor and they diagnose me with bradycardia. And I'm like, no, I'm a long distance runner. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But but it takes several hours to get down
to that
to the 45 beats per minute. Well, during that time, just the function that the heart's a muscle, the heart's burning calories.
Right.
It's my metabolism sped up during that time, and that's called the afterburn.
Okay. So I read it, and I should have looked this up before, but you have in here, and a lot of people out there are saying, well, I don't like to run, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. But you're starting out, the first if I remember correct, you walked for so much time and then ran. So could you explain that to us and how that works?
Sure. Keep in mind, when I first started, I couldn't run more than a few feet without needing to stop, gasping for air, right? So this program, it's an adaptation of Bob Glover. I got to give credit where credit's due. Bob Glover wrote a book called The Runner's Handbook, and that's how I started. Over the years of my experience, though, I adapted this a little bit. more for me and my style to be a little bit easier than what he was for beginners. But yeah, this eases you into running. It's a program to get you to run from 0 to 20 minutes nonstop.
Okay.
And it's simple. The first week, you run 1 minute, walk 2 minutes, and do that for 7 sets.
Okay.
Okay, so your total exercise time's 21 minutes. The next week, it's run 2 minutes, walk 2 minutes for 5 times. So the total exercise times 20 minutes. Right. And it just builds from that. Then it goes, 3 to 2, 4 to 1, 5, whatever. And it eases our bodies into it in a slow manner and gets us used to doing it, building up our muscles. Because most people, when they go out there to run, make the same mistake I did. They go out there and they run as far as they can. And then the next day they go out and try to run like a minute further or 10 seconds farther or whatever, right?
Right.
And eventually you get to your body's limit and your body doesn't adapt. Doing this run-walk method, it allows our body to adapt. And you don't even have to do it. It's a 10-week program, but it could take 15 or 20 weeks to do it. Right. Because the point is, don't move on to the next week until your body's adapted to the previous week. Okay. And life happens. Like for me, when I was doing it, I broke a toe.
Oh, my.
Yeah. I stubbed my toe in my bed against my bedpost.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Ow.
And
that just hurts thinking about it.
Yeah. And I had to take literally a couple-week break. Yeah. So there's no shame in taking longer than 10 weeks. The 10 week isn't a hard and fast thing. It can be if you diligent and your body responds, but we have to make sure that we give our body the time to respond.
So what are some warning signs if somebody decides to take up the run walk? What are some of the warning signs people should look for?
Well, probably number one for overweight folks like I was is shin splints.
Okay.
And shin splints is just tiny micro fractures in your shin.
Very familiar with them.
Yep. Generally, they're not a big deal, just a little painful, and stretching and rolling your muscles and building up your calves can really help with that. But if you get shin splints that, as you start running, get worse, you definitely should stop, take some time off, rest.
Heal up.
Google cures for shin splints because there's lots of theories and lots of different stretches and things you can do, and we don't have time to talk about all that now.
But one of the things that you do cover and mention several times, and that is the warm up and the cool down times, and that's. I think in the times that I go to the gym and things, I think the biggest thing I see is people don't take the time to stretch. They don't take the time to warm up. And you mentioned, a 5 or 10 minute warm up period?
That's all it takes. Just walk for 5 or 10 minutes. 5 minutes is sufficient because this program is only something very important we need to mention. The program is only for folks that can already walk 30 minutes at a time.
Right.
Okay, with nonstop. Yeah. So we definitely got to build up to walking 30 minutes. And there's no shame in not ever running. Walking you'll burn off, an average person burns off 100 calories per mile walking. Okay. Too. Same as running. Yeah. It just will take longer.
It just takes longer. I really want to get into the overall plan because it's not just exercise. It's not just diet. I didn't say dieting. I said not just diet. And that's something I think that a lot of folks miss when they look at the title. They say diet rebel, and they say, okay, what does that mean? Is this some off-the-wall diet? But it's just your diet. You don't tell people what to eat. Is that correct?
No, I don't. And the title comes from rebelling against dieting, the fad diets that are out there. Right. So it's really fad diet rebel but just Diet Rebel for short.
Diet Rebel sounds better.
Yeah. But I have this philosophy that you can't be healthy if you're overweight.
Right.
So if you're overweight, you can eat all the healthy foods you want, but if you eat too much of it, you're still going to be overweight. Right. So my philosophy is eat whatever you want and lose the weight first and make small changes during that time to get to a healthier diet. Because that's exactly what I did. I mean, I wasn't really following Christ back when I was doing this that
Right.
much. So my diet really consisted of chicken wings, pizza, McDonald's, beer, and scotch.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
would joke I was on the scotch diet.
There you go.
But
I've been there.
but yeah, I lost weight eating crap.
Yeah.
I just ate less of it
Okay.
because it's all about calories. It's not
Yeah.
about what we eat. It's about how much
How
we
much
eat.
you eat.
Now, I'm not saying that that's necessarily 100% the way to go. I'm just saying that we don't have to make all the changes at once. And this is probably the biggest mistake people make is because when you do a fat diet, you're changing
Everything right now.
all at once,
Right,
and it
right.
makes yourself miserable.
Yeah.
And nothing sticks. Like I mentioned before, well, it's in the book about just changing from regular soda to diet soda.
Right, right.
Well, I did that over and over, and then that just became a habit, so I never even missed the regular soda.
Right.
And, habits, and we want to do these one little change at a time to build habits, and that's what makes the lifestyle change.
Right.
And, if you do a habit, I know 21 days is the magic number, but who knows what that
Yeah.
is. But if you do it long enough, it does truly
change.
become a habit.
Right.
And if you're just doing one small thing at a time, you're not white-knuckling things.
Right, right.
Yeah,
I love your description, the white knuckling, because if you look at, and I'll give you from personal experience, a while back, my wife and I tried keto diet. And so, we did a lot of research, and I will tell you, just being honest here, the thing I liked the best out of the keto diet was the keto coffee. I love the keto coffee. But anyway, but we found that it was one of those strict regimen type things, and we weren't happy, and we didn't see the success in weight loss that everybody said this is what you're going to have. We didn't, and then in all honesty, some of my numbers went up.
Right.
Some of my bad numbers went up.
Right.
And
right.
so, and part of that had to be, I probably wasn't doing the exercise that I was supposed to be doing. And so it's a combination there. So, and I'm not saying, keto may work for you. That's fine.
Right.
Don't,
no, I mentioned keto in the book. It's very good. And my doctor suggests keto, but again, for weight loss, keto would be more for health.
For health,
and keto is based on whole foods, and I'm a firm believer of whole foods. I just don't think it has to be mostly protein.
Right.
But we whole foods. So by all means, eat healthy and strive to be healthy. But again, where people fail a lot of times with the weight loss is they're trying to go from 0 to 60 in
5 seconds.
Instead of gradually doing it, and the gas tank runs out at 30 miles an hour or whatever.
So you mentioned something in here. You had a friend of yours, and you both went into McDonald's. Apparently, they were having 2 for $1 Big Macs. I have to ask you about that, and he challenged you. So what was the scoop on that?
Well, my friend Jim, he was naturally thin and in shape, and he didn't work out or anything, but he's naturally thin, and I'm not a naturally thin guy. People accuse me of that after they saw the final results and I was running marathons and stuff. But so we went into McDonald's, and he challenged me to a bet that we could run we should run a 5K, and I should train for 3 months, and he won't train.
Okay.
And the bet was to see who could win.
Okay.
Well, we ended up not doing it, and he was gracious. He called it off. We called it off because I started training. I didn't do it the right way because I didn't know any better, and I got hurt. I hurt myself.
Okay.
Shin splints and knees. I just couldn't do it anymore.
Right.
So I knew the 3-month time frame wasn't going to work. So we he was gracious enough not to ridicule me and stuff.
Okay.
And we called it off. Interesting thing later, I moved away. This was in Washington, D.C. I moved away to Rochester and came back, and this was after my transformation. And I was at the peak of my fitness.
Okay.
And we ended up running a 5K together.
Okay.
And it was downtown D.C., and I lived in D.C., so I lived about 1.5 miles from the Capitol building. So I ran to the start of the race, which was down at the mall.
Okay.
I used the 5K as part of my long run.
Okay.
And I ran with him, and we ran about 2 miles together. And he's like, "Oh, Brian, you don't have to stay with me anymore." So then I just ran at my own pace, and of course beat him.
Yep.
And Jim, I'm sorry, I know you probably don't remember most of this stuff, but anyway, so then afterwards, I ran home, and that was the day I reminded him of the bet, because he did forget about it.
You forgot about the bet.
It took me about 10 years, but I did beat him.
There you go. So all over a couple of Big Macs.
All over a couple of Big Macs, yeah.
And so in changing the habits, it's diet habits. It's
right.
What we eat, how much we eat, when we eat. You had one concept in there to eat less more often.
Right.
And you hear a lot about that right now. So
right.
Is that something you still do, or is it?
Pretty much. I still eat about 6 meals a day.
Okay.
It's, what you're talking about is a 6-meal plan.
Right.
Now, I pulled this out of, again, I got to give credit where credit's due. I pulled this out of a book called Body for Life. And it really worked for me. And what it is, let's say, you have to eat, you're allowed to eat 2,400 calories that day to reach your goal. Well, you divide 24 by 6, which is 400. So each meal is 400 calories.
Right.
And you eat what I did was I adapted this. I ate between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. 6 meals. So I'm eating every 2.5 hours. Mm-hmm. So I'm never hungry. My blood sugar doesn't spike. It doesn't valley. It's pretty, my energy is consistent. Okay. So I'm not, I know I'm going to be eating again in 2 hours or whatever. So I'm not, the cravings aren't there. And the intermittent fasting part about it for 12 hours overnight, intermittent fasting, I'm not an expert in it, but I do believe in intermittent fasting overnight and extending that. I think 12 hours is long enough. It worked for me.
Okay.
But that gives our body a chance then to recuperate, and especially if we want to lose weight, running before you eat then in the morning, or exercising before you eat in the morning, will allow us to go to our glycogen stores quicker and start burning fat.
Okay. And that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Got to burn the fat.
Yeah.
So I've been talking with Brian Harner with the Diet Rebel. You can get this book on Amazon. This is really, really a good book. If you want to change your eating habits, change your exercise habits, this is not going to tell you how to diet. It's not going to tell you what foods to eat, what foods not to eat, but it is going to give you all the information you need to live a healthy lifestyle with proper exercise, proper diet, not dieting. And Brian, I want to thank you for being on the show.
My pleasure.
We enjoy having you around.
Thank you for having me.
And so as we close out today, I'd like to ask you, what is about today is your favorite day?
Well, other than being alive, tonight is our first formal football practice for my son.
Okay.
So, I'm a coach of my son's football team, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Awesome.
So today I'm thankful that God, number one, kept me alive, gave me a son, and allows us to enjoy football.
There you go. Today's my favorite day. There is so much out there to be thankful for, my friends. This has been Sam McEwen along with Brian Harner and the Diet Rebel. Thanks for watching. Today is my favorite day. Live intentionally. Be very, very blessed. Have a good day.
Thank you for listening to TIMFD, Today is My Favorite Day. Views, comments, and opinions are those of the host and guest alone, and Dave and Sam are solely responsible for the content of this podcast. TIMFD is produced and directed by Alex Korn. Music is composed and performed by Chuck Fott. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, live intentionally, and be very blessed.